In the previous session, we saw how to build a table in Datasheet view, and we looked at the data types you assign to the fields in your tables. We also looked at 3 more steps in database design. All tables have a primary key, all fields have a data type, and your fields hold the smallest possible unit of data. So now we'll build the second table in our example, and for this one I'll use Table Design View. On the ribbon, I select Create, then Table Design. If you like using hotkeys, you can press Alt, then the letter for the command you want to use. In this case, that's C, and then TD. The designer starts, and you see this new tab here. These are called contextual tabs. Access has several of them, and they only appear when you need them. You can see this one has commands for inserting or deleting fields and one for setting a primary key. So here in the field name column, I'll enter phone ID. And from the data type list, I'll select auto number. And then I'll click primary key. You can also right-click the row and see a lot of the same commands. And again, you can press Alt, then the letter next to the command you want to use. So in the next row, the next field, I'll enter phone number and choose the short text data type. Below that, I'll enter type, and here's where I'll use lookup. Click Lookup Wizard. I'll type the values I want, and click Next. One column is fine, and in the first row I'll enter Office, then Mobile, Fax, Emergency, and Home. Click Next, and you can see the field already has the name I entered, so click Finish. Now, in the first session, I mentioned that we could have broken this field into its own table, but we aren't because it's a small amount of data. So what I've done instead is create a value list. When I go to enter a name, I just pick the right value from the list. Finally, we need to create our foreign key. I'll call it Customer ID FK, and here's what that stands for. Customer ID is the name of the primary key, and the FK stands for foreign key. In other words, this is a shorthand way of knowing that this is a foreign key, and its primary key is the customer ID field in the customers table. Next, I'll set the data type to number, and this leads to another rule. The data types for your primary and foreign keys have to match or be compatible. In our case, I used a compatible data type, and I did that because the primary key is an auto number field. Remember, Access controls the values in auto number fields. It keeps them in sequence as you add customer names, and it never lets you duplicate any of those sequential values. The thing is, you'll need to duplicate values in the foreign key field anytime a customer has more than one phone number, so we can't use auto number here. We need a compatible data type, and in this case, it's number. But you can also use other data types with your key fields, such as text, and the course summary has links to show you how that works. For now, save the table, call it phone numbers, and in the next video, I'll show you how to use the calculated data type because it can be really handy when you're building relationships.